When my son told me he wasn't expecting me for Christmas, I smiled and said I understood. But what he didn't know was that the mortgage on his house, the one I'd been paying for 3 years, would stop that very same week. This isn't just a story about family. It's about gratitude. Or rather, what happens when it dies. Hey everyone, welcome back to Revenge Flame, where justice burns slow and sweet. If you've ever done everything for someone who forgot what you sacrificed, hit that like button, subscribe, and buckle up. Because today's story is about a father, a son, and a Christmas that neither of them would ever forget. My name's Martin, 61 years old. I retired early after 37 years in the railway industry, the same one my father worked in and his father before him. Hard work, grease, sweat, and long hours. I've always believed in one thing, family first. And when my wife Linda passed away 5 years ago, that belief became my only anchor. We'd had one son, Daniel. He was our pride and joy. Linda used to say, "He's got your stubbornness, but my heart." And she was right, at least back then. After college, Daniel struggled to find his footing. He had a wife, Melissa, and a newborn daughter, my sweet little Ella. They were drowning in debt. Student loans, car payments, medical bills from when Ella was born premature. He called me one night, his voice shaking. "Dad, I don't know what to do." We might lose the house. I remember sitting in my recliner, staring at the old Christmas photo of us. Him, 8 years old, smiling with missing front teeth. Linda behind him in her red sweater. Without hesitation, I said, "Son, don't you worry. I'll handle it," and I did. I dipped into my retirement fund, rearranged my savings, and took over their mortgage payments. $2,300 a month every single month. Daniel protested at first. "I'll pay you back, Dad." But I just said, "You'll pay it forward." That's all I ask. For 3 years, I covered that mortgage. It wasn't easy, not on a fixed income. I gave up vacations, new clothes, even my fishing trips. But every month, I'd see that transaction go through, and I'd think, this is what fathers are for. Every Christmas, I'd drive 6 hours to see them, bring gifts, cook dinner, tell stories to Ella. Melissa would always greet me with a smile, but over the years, something changed. Daniel got busier, the phone calls got shorter, the visits less frequent. At first, I blamed distance, time, life, but deep down, I knew something was fading. Last Thanksgiving, I called Daniel to ask if I should bring the turkey again like usual. "Actually, Dad," he said, his voice awkward, "Melissa's parents are coming this year, so maybe next time." I laughed it off, said, "Of course, son. Enjoy." But when I hung up, the silence in my house was deafening. I'd spent years keeping their home afloat, and I wasn't next time. Still, I brushed it off. Maybe I was overreacting. Maybe I was just lonely. Then came the first week of December. Snow was piling up outside my little house. I'd just finished stringing the same set of old Christmas lights Linda loved. I called Daniel, cheerful as ever. "Hey, kiddo! Just wanted to check when you want me to come down for Christmas this year. I can bring the roast and maybe—" He interrupted me. Dad, about that?" My heart sank a little. "What's wrong, son?" "We're actually doing Christmas with Melissa's family again. Her mom's been sick and, well, we figured it'd be easier to stay here." I paused. "Stay there?" I thought I was coming there. "Yeah, we just weren't expecting you this time. Not expecting me. Like I was some delivery that got canceled." I laughed softly to hide the sting. "Oh, well, I wouldn't want to intrude." "Thanks, Dad. I knew you'd understand." Then he hung up. I sat in my chair, staring at the blinking Christmas lights, the same ones I'd put up for him every year when he was a boy, not expecting me. My hands trembled as I turned off the lights one by one. I didn't sleep that night. My mind ran through every moment of the last few years, every check I'd written, every trip I'd made, every moment I'd swallowed my loneliness to make his life easier. And for what? I thought about Linda, what she'd say if she saw this. She'd probably tell me to forgive him. But she wasn't here, and forgiveness had started to feel like foolishness. The next morning, I opened my laptop, logged into the mortgage portal. Payment due, December 20th. Amount, $2,300. My hand hovered over the pay button. I stared at it for a long time, and then I clicked Cancel Auto Pay. A simple click. No fireworks, no drama, just peace. Over the next 2 weeks, Daniel didn't call. Not once. I didn't reach out either. Christmas Eve came, and I sat alone, watching the snow fall. I poured myself a glass of Linda's favorite wine and toasted to the quiet. Then the phone rang. It was Daniel. His voice was frantic. "Dad!" the bank called. They said the mortgage payment didn't go through this month. Did something happen? I sipped my wine slowly. That's odd. Maybe you should take a look at that, Dad. Are you saying you canceled it? I'm saying, I replied calmly, I wasn't expecting you to call this Christmas either. Silence. Then, the sound of realization, heavy and cold. Daniel drove 6 hours to my house the next day. No gifts, no excuses, just shame. He stood in my doorway, looking smaller than I'd ever seen him. Dad, I'm sorry. I didn't realize how much you were still doing. I took it for granted. I nodded slowly. You did, son. But now you can learn what it feels like to stand on your own 2 feet. Like I had to. He nodded, tears in his eyes. And for the first time in years, I didn't comfort him. Sometimes love isn't giving more. It's stopping when you've given enough. When Daniel drove off that morning, snow crunching under his tires, I watched from the window, coffee in hand, heart heavy. He looked broken, but I wasn't gloating. This wasn't about revenge for the sake of cruelty. It was about truth. For years, I'd been his safety net. Every mistake, every missed bill, every convenience, I was there. And somewhere along the line, gratitude had turned into expectation. And that's the thing about comfort. Once people get used to it, they stop saying thank you. A week later, I got a call. It was Melissa. Her voice was polite, but sharp, like she was holding in frustration. Hi, Martin. It's Melissa. I just wanted to check. Did you happen to stop paying the mortgage? I took a slow breath. Yes, I did. It was never meant to be forever. Daniel knew that there was a pause, then a cold laugh. Of course he didn't tell me that. He told me you insisted on paying because you felt guilty about something. I've been thanking him for years for letting you help. Her words stung. Guilt? No, I'd paid out of love. Melissa, I said softly, I never did it out of guilt. I did it because he's my son, and because I wanted your family to have a chance, but it seems I became more of a crutch than a hand up. Another silence. Then, barely above a whisper, she said, He lied to me, didn't he? I didn't answer. I didn't have to. Within 2 weeks, the bank notices started piling up at Daniel's house. Mortgage overdue, late fees, interest penalties. I didn't hear from him, not directly, but I heard through mutual friends at the old neighborhood that he was trying to sort things out. Apparently, he'd been living under the illusion that I'd always be there to rescue him. He'd taken on a new car loan, remodeled the kitchen, even took a vacation to Mexico last year. All while I quietly stretched my pension to keep his roof over his head. So when reality hit, it hit hard. Mid-January. I was sitting by the fire reading the paper when I heard tires screech outside. Daniel stormed up to the porch, red-faced and shaking. Dad! The bank's threatening foreclosure. You can't just stop paying. They're saying we're 2 months behind now. I folded the paper slowly, met his eyes. I can, and I did. You're a grown man, Daniel. It's your mortgage, your house, your family. You don't understand, he snapped. You've ruined everything. No, son, I said quietly. I just stopped fixing what you kept breaking. He froze. I could see the shame warring with anger behind his eyes. Mom would have never... That word, Mom, hit like a knife. Don't you dare use her memory to justify your selfishness, I said, my voice sharper than I intended. Your mother believed in helping people who help themselves. Daniel deflated, then turned and walked away, muttering something under his breath. That was the last time we spoke for months. Spring came, and with it, another call from Melissa. But this time, her tone was different, softer, tired. Martin, she said, I just wanted to tell you, you were right. About what? About Daniel. About everything. Apparently, she'd gone through their finances after the mortgage chaos, discovered years of hidden spending, unnecessary loans, and unpaid taxes. He told me you were still paying, even after you retired, she said bitterly. He didn't even try to take responsibility. I could hear the tears in her voice. She wasn't angry anymore, just disappointed. What are you going to do? I asked. I don't know. Maybe start over, for Ella's sake. We talked for an hour about life, about Linda, about forgiveness. When we hung up, I realized something. Revenge isn't always about payback. Sometimes it's about revealing truth, and the truth was finally out. By summer, Daniel and Melissa had separated. The house was gone, sold off to cover debts. Melissa moved in with her parents, taking Ella with her. Daniel, from what I heard, moved into a small apartment on the outskirts of town. I didn't celebrate his downfall. There was no satisfaction in seeing my own blood struggle. But I did feel relief. Because now, maybe he'd learn what it meant to stand on his own. 6 months later, the following Christmas, I heard a knock at my door. When I opened it, there he was. Daniel, but not the same Daniel I'd known. He looked older, tired, humbled. He was holding a small wrapped box. "Merry Christmas, Dad," he said quietly. I hesitated, then stepped aside. "Come in." We sat by the fire, the same one I'd sat by alone the year before. He didn't make excuses, didn't cry, didn't try to guilt me. Instead, he said, "I get it now. All of it. I thought love meant you'd always fix things, but I never realized how much I broke in the process." I nodded, feeling that old ache return. "You had to learn the hard way, son. I wish it didn't have to be that way." He handed me the small box. Inside was a photo of him, Melissa, and Ella, framed. At the bottom, a note. "Thank you for teaching me what love really costs." That was the moment everything came full circle. Because my revenge, my real revenge, wasn't the mortgage. It wasn't the canceled payment, or the foreclosure, or even the silence. It was watching him finally grow into the man his mother always hoped he'd be. Sometimes revenge doesn't look like payback. It looks like change. And that, my friends, is the sweetest kind of justice. So here's the lesson I learned that year. Love without boundaries becomes servitude. And when gratitude dies, resentment is born. But when you stand up for yourself, when you draw that line, you don't just teach someone a lesson. You set them free to grow. If this story hit you in the heart, or if you've ever had to teach someone a hard lesson in gratitude, drop a comment below and tell us how you handled it. And if you love stories where karma takes its time but never misses, hit that like, subscribe, and join us next time here on Revenge Flame, where justice burns slow, but oh, it burns bright.